And tonight, Ohio State and Notre Dame in Georgia, Atlanta for the national championship game. Zach Barnett does an incredible job with footballscoop.com. John Bryce also had a really good article about scouting the teams and how others look at it. And Zach joins us on 365 Sports. Hello. Happy New Year. I don't think we've had you on. It's been a while. But, Zach, you just thoughts about it all culminates tonight in Atlanta.
Yeah, great to be here. Thanks for having me. I hope we see a great game. I have great respect for Notre Dame and what they've been able to accomplish in spite of all these injuries that they've had. I'm just afraid that Notre Dame's kind of run out of offensive linemen, and that's not where you want to be when you're playing for a championship, and particularly not when you have to block JT Tuimalu and Jack Sawyer on opposite ends with Tyreek Williams in between them. Ohio State's obviously really, really good. Notre Dame's a really good team, but I'm just concerned with how they match up with Ohio State. Riley Leonard's a great college quarterback, but when you bring up a college quarterback and the third thing you bring up is his ability to throw the football, that's maybe not, you'd maybe like for that to be the first thing, but he's a great leader. He's really Notre Dame's second best running back. I'm just not sure Ohio State's really going to sit with two deep safeties. I think they're going to try and populate the box, populate the middle of the field, and say, go beat us. And I don't see that leading to enough points for Notre Dame to win tonight.
But do you think Notre Dame can muddy the water enough, though? Because that's kind of what they did against Penn State, where they just gummed up the works enough until they figured it out and won the game. They did against Georgia. They gummed up the works enough until Georgia kind of lost its steam. It's not pretty, but they just find a way to frustrate you until you, I don't want to say give up, but kind of run out of ideas.
Yeah, I believe they're 27-0 in the middle eight of these last two playoff games. I didn't go back and look up Indiana, but obviously they turned that Georgia game in the middle eight, really the middle two, the last minute of the first half, first minute of the second half, taking that opening kickoff back. And then they were really wobbly against Penn State driving in, and it looked like they were a boxer kind of stumbling around the ring a little bit. It looked like kind of that moment where it's like, all right, Notre Dame just run out of guys. And then they went out and tied the game within the middle eight. So I think they're going to have to do that. I think they're going to have to win turnovers. I think they're going to have to get maybe not a non-offensive touchdown, but at least set up a touchdown not offensively. And they're going to have an edge in coaching, which, I mean, for everything Marcus Freeman's done, Al Golden and Mike Denbrock deserve their share of the credit. Those two guys are great coordinators. But then again, find me a weakness between Chip Kelly and Jim Knowles. I just think that for everything I believe Notre Dame can do, Ohio State's just as good. And then kind of what you alluded to there, Notre Dame will drag them into the fourth quarter and we'll figure out a way to win in the final 4 minutes, which they did against Penn State. Ohio State kind of has more close game, late game experience than Notre Dame does. Penn State was close late. Michigan was close late. Oregon was close late. Obviously, they lost two of those games, but that created this drive for them to be like, all right, it's championship or else. We're going to win this championship or die trying. And then we saw what happened at the end of the Texas game.
Zach, there was a lot of controversy around the expansion of the playoff, a lot of controversy at the times the teams were announced and who was selected, and there will be more controversy or talk about how that all works moving forward. But at this point, these two teams clearly have earned their way into this championship game. And what have been your thoughts on seeing the road traveled, the extra games played, and just kind of the resume built in this postseason by both squads?
Yeah, I think it's really good that it's happened, and I think it's really good it's happened now. I would have felt really icky about watching this game tonight, knowing if these guys were just competing for a scholarship. I think Ohio State's playing their 16th game. Notre Dame's in their 16th game. Texas and Penn State, if they'd won since they played conference championship games, they would have been playing game 17. And to do that, quote unquote, for free, I would have felt not right about that. So all these guys are getting paid. I think it's great. I think this has proven that this format works, that people want to see more college football. I think we need to find a way to they're not going to shorten the field. Name me the last playoff in any sport that's ever contracted. So that's not going to happen. But I think if they could find a way to play more games in December and less in January, I think that needs to happen. I've seen next to zero buzz about this game, and it's Ohio State and Notre Dame playing for a national championship, but it's just been kind of eaten up by what happened in the NFL this past weekend. So if they could get this as close to New Year's Day as possible, then we'll really be cooking with gas.
I mentioned that earlier in the show about how it seems like it's, I don't know if the word's overshadowed, but I might have been your tweet or something close to it about there hasn't been much buzz. The NFL, we know, is the all-powerful, and you have 4 of those games over the weekend. Would it have mattered if they would have played on Friday?
That's a good question.
To be your best requires commitment, dedication, and intensity. It's what defines elite athletes and inspires Airwave to find new ways to optimize your performance. Introducing Airwave Recovery, a mouthpiece designed to work while you sleep to further unlock your potential. Airwave Recovery features our patented reflex technology, small, integrated bumps uniquely positioned to activate your tongue's natural response. Your tongue will instinctively move forward, opening your airway and improving your quality of sleep. And thanks to our patented fitting material and a purpose-designed support wall, you'll enjoy a secure, comfortable fit all night long. With Airwave Recovery, you sleep better and recharge faster. Airwave Recovery, recharge your potential.
I think you would have had I'm not a TV expert, so I'm not going to guess what the numbers would have been. You probably would have had more pregame buzz, but then we'd be sitting here today and be like, oh yeah, Ohio State won a national championship on Friday. Remember that? It would have been swallowed up by everything that happened over the weekend. So I think that probably the calculus is A, we're getting more rest for the players, so hopefully it's a better game. And B, we're not going to have much buzz on the front end, but if we have a great game, then that's what people are going to be talking about Tuesday, Wednesday before they turn the page to the conference championship games.
All right, Zach, I proposed this to Tim Brando on Friday, and he almost agreed with me. But what if they made week 0, week 1 for everybody? That's also where you could kind of stash your junk games, the warm-up week. And then Labor Day weekend, before the NFL kicks off, you kind of Daytona 500 it and play a lot of your best games then. With the playoff being here, it doesn't matter if you lose a game on Labor Day weekend as much as it used to, obviously. And you can put some of your great games there. Then make sure that Army-Navy weekend, Army-Navy is on alone, and then in the evening you play some playoff games there, and you play some playoff games on Friday night. That way you're not leaving a whole week open for just one game and still giving proper reverence to Army-Navy.
I'm for it. Give me the petition. I'll sign it. I think the idea of a lot of people are saying we should crown the national champion at the Rose Bowl. I think that's a lofty thing. I just don't know that we'll ever get there to chop 2-3 weeks off and contract it more. I don't see the space in the calendar. Move everything up a week. I'm for it. Take full advantage of Labor Day weekend. You have those 5 days, a big long weekend. It's your last weekend without the NFL. There's going to be some great games. I'm going to have a piece up after the game ends tonight and tomorrow about how many great games there are to start next season, and so many of them on that first weekend. So I think we're halfway there. A lot of people say, well, eliminate. What's the point of having a conference championship game, especially if both teams make it? That's a good point. Those conferences own those things, own those games, those weekends, and they don't have to split the money. So I don't see those going away. But if we could chop 1 week off and start the playoff that second Saturday in December, that'd be great. I just worry. I think everyone likes having 1 weekend in December off. And if we're going straight from conference championship games straight into Army Navy and you're playing all the way through December, I'm for it. I don't know if the coaches and players would be on board.
Does Jeremiah Smith get loose tonight? It seems like there's been some quotes kind of leading up to this about how he's ready for it, and obviously there wasn't a big show the last time we saw him. What do you think as far as the Irish trying to defend him and duplicate what we saw in the semifinals, if at all possible?
Yeah, Notre Dame's been open about the fact that they're going to dance with who brung them and lean heavily into man coverage. I'd be surprised if in any sort of leverage situation he truly only has 2 sets or 1 set of eyeballs on him. Even if it's man, I think you'll have someone over the top of him. I think I think Ohio State will do more to force the issue to him than they did last week. Last week against Texas, Texas played a lot of zone, and Ohio State was happy to not go broke, taking a profit. Multiple passes to wide open tight ends for 8-yard gains. I think they will try to force the issue a little bit more. Especially there was one deep shot that they threw to the end zone. I think if they get within the 40 in that range, I think you'll see them try to throw at least one deep ball to Jeremiah Smith, knowing if they hit one, great. Even if they don't, they can still. Just the threat will help them on second and third down. But if I had to bet my life on one Ohio State receiver being the MVP of this game, it would be Emeka Egbuka.
When you look at the weapons, the ones that can make that play, whether it's Smith, Egbuka, or even Travion Henderson, Notre Dame had a running back went 98 yards in the game against Indiana with Love. But your thoughts about, do they just have that? They have more weapons to pop the 50-yarder that in this game you might get one or two of those, and Ohio State has the more opportunity to do that?
Yeah, it all starts to me with Ohio State's defense. Knowing that you can hold, generally, it would take a really bad day to give up 28 points. So I think that changes the way you're going to call the game if you're Chip Kelly and Ryan Day, knowing that if you don't put your defense in a bad situation, they're going to carry the day for you. You look at that screen pass they threw to Travion Henderson at the end of the first half. That was designed to really get 12 yards, but it was just kind of the perfect storm where they caught Texas in the right look. The Texas defenders didn't really respond the way they should have, and Travion Henderson's a really fast guy. I think Ohio State's going to go into this thing. We have the players. We don't have to take any crazy risks. If we play our game, we'll hit enough of those explosives, and our defense will do the job that we'll win the game. I don't think Ohio State's going to try to win this game 42-38. I think the game plan is going to be we're going to win this game 28-13, 27-14, somewhere in that range.
By the way, before, Paul, you follow up, somebody asked about the star on the hat, the state of Texas outline on your hat. Where is that star?
That's a good question. I've never thought about that. It looks like it's about Midland, Odessa.
Yeah, it does.
That's what I'd say.
Yeah, that's what I thought. They just asked. That was from retired man, retired stockbroker.
Well, it's clearly a hat that celebrates landmen.
Yes, exactly.
The best, Zach, you guys do such a great job of covering the off-season parts, the inner workings, especially the coaching hires. Is there anything on the scale of Bill Belichick being probably the most shocking to least shocking that surprised you, or is a story that maybe bears more watching than people are giving it?
Are you going on right now or just in general?
Just in general.
That's a good question. I think the overarching story going on right now is the effect of all this new money that's coming into the sport. We had a light season in regards to changes, and obviously, you look at Oklahoma and Brent Venables, and in another era, he might have gotten fired, but clearly Oklahoma's decided it's cheaper in the long run to invest more now, go get a John Mateer, even though they weren't the highest bidder, but still pay what it takes to get John Mateer. Go get a Ben Arbuckle. The defensive coordinator hire is still out there. A lot of smoke that's going to be Jim Knowles. We'll see. It makes more sense to overpay, so to speak, for those guys and give Brent Venables another chance while you're chopping another year off his buyout. Because not only do you have to pay the 30, 40 million, whatever that number was, you're going to have to go out and buy a whole new roster because the Vultures will be circling Norman before sundown. So that's played out at Oklahoma. It's played out elsewhere. That's kind of a one-year thing. We'll see how long that continues. Like with how much Michigan is invested. If let's say Sharon Moore goes 6-6 again next season, do they have the patience to give him another year? Brent Venables goes 6-6. He's probably gone. I think it slowed down the life cycle of coaching, but we'll see. It remains to be seen by how much.
Zach, with the NFL coaching, Ben Johnson now, Chicago, among whatever else happens, Cowboys, New Orleans, Vegas, etc. How many of those jobs, based on who the head coach will be, might affect college football staffs at all?
I think you're going to see the NFL. If you're a position coach or a coordinator, the NFL is a much better life for you than if you're in college. And obviously, it's been that way for a long time. It's going to continue to be that way. So I would bet against Deion Sanders being the Dallas Cowboys head coach, although it would be fascinating because I can't imagine. I don't even know how you begin to follow that act if he does leave, if you're Colorado, if you're the next Colorado head coach. We talk about how difficult it is for Kalen DeBoer to follow Alabama, and it is. But imagine being the next head coach at Colorado when you're not even 1% as cool as Deion Sanders. So I think there's going to be assistant coaching churn. A lot of that depends on who gets those jobs. Marcus Freeman is going to get interest. Steve Sarkisian turned down interest. Obviously, Freeman was connected to the Bears. They've since hired Ben Johnson. I think it remains to be seen who gets those jobs, but you're going to see coordinators and position coaches leave.
With Sarkisian's new deal, how many coaches, Kirby Smart, et cetera, have an automatic kick-in clause that they have to be among the top 2, 3, or 5 highest paid coaches? How often does that kick in when someone like Sark gets his big money?
It's a good question. I've perused my fair share of coaching contracts. I've never seen a clause that they've got to be within that. I'm not saying it doesn't exist, or not one immediately comes to mind. What you do see more of is the coaches who get tenure, so to speak, like Mark Stoops at Kentucky, like Mike Gundy at Oklahoma State. The automatic rollover deals. That's far more common than I have to be within the top percentile or top 2 or top 5 than the automatic rollovers.
Hey, Zach, enjoy the game tonight, buddy. Good to see you. Talk to you soon, okay?
Sounds good. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Zach Barnett, footballscoop.com, with us on this national championship Monday tonight, Ohio State and also Notre Dame.